continue tracking down, killing and arresting separatists and destroying their camps, and the highest commands, the highest military authorities of the 5th Joint Military and the 5th Gendarmerie regions were recently in the Kumbu in the northwest region of the country, where they told soldiers to respect human rights in those operations. And they were speaking at the end of an operation codenamed Bui 1 that saw a separatist training base and an arms production unit dismantled. Stella reports.
At least 12 separatist fighters were killed during an 8-day military operation in Bui Division. According to Colonel Mathieu Charlalain, team lead of the troops, the 12, including the dreaded Amazonian General Hassan, were killed when they launched an offensive targeting separatist camps in Yalum, Gepsiba, Verkovi, Oku, Tadum and Kumbu. Stocks of weapons were recovered, but their biggest cache was the destruction of an arm-producing base and a training center for separatist fighters run by former state forces in Yalum.
Le lieutenant est là, de la prise, qui a conduit à task force un camp d'entraînement où on avait un ancien militaire et un ancien gardien de prison qui entraînait les hommes. Cette base a été détruite. Il y avait une usine de fabrication des armes. Et vous allez voir tout de suite, la plupart de ces armes que vous voyez là-devant ont été fabriquées dans cette base. Cette base a été entièrement détruite.
Bui Division has been one of the hottest divisions in the Northwest region since arms were picked up in Anglophone Cameroon. Until date, passing through Bui to Ndonga Mountain Division has been reserved for members of Cameroon's defense and security forces or administrative authorities under tight security. The local man is forced to go through the West region, which is 4 times the normal cost. At the start of this operation, codenamed Bui 1, the Cameroon army was the target of an ambush. In all, 3 soldiers were killed and 7 wounded. Making Bui secured for all is what the soldiers term Operation Clean Bui. But several military operations have been greeted with allegations of rights violations. Visiting Generals Cavalet and Equinoxe Divine, commanders of the 5th Joint Military Region and the 5th Gendarmerie Region respectively, while on a control mission to Kumbu, say the operations must continue within the respect of laid down principles.
Le combat continue en respectant les droits humains. Vous ne devez pas, il est interdit, des tracasseries, des vols, des viols, etc., etc., tout ce qui ternit l'image des forces de défense et de sécurité.
Since the conflict escalated, fightings between government forces and the non-state armed groups have been intense, displacing hundreds of thousands and thousands killed. But the hope of those who are still alive is to freely move from one division to another and carry out their activities like they used to, even though the past has left them with scars.
The senior divisional officer of the Kmer division in the southwest region of Cameroon has called on police officers or better still schools to punish some students who were arrested by police officers in the Kumba for unlawful practices. And Tundong Chamberlain made the recommendation after talking to those students who were caught naked and some drinking alcohol in the town of Kumba. Smanjik and Gabriel has more.
An unannounced assembly at the premises of the senior divisional officer in Kumba. These are all students from different secondary schools in Kmer division. They were picked up during a surprise control made by police officers at a waterfall in Barumbi, then ferried to the office of Ntundong Chamberlain.
Your parents are spending huge amount of money to pay school fees and so on. Look what you are doing. You, this old man, you are from where? Siango?
Sources say the police officers caught these students smoking marijuana, drinking whiskey, some dancing naked before their male counterparts, while others were having sexual intercourse.
They ask you to go to school and you find yourself where they are smoking banger. The consuming tramadol, dancing naked, speaking half of four and fighters. What's your problem? You don't pity your parents? Eh?
After talking to the students, Ntundong Shambalen, the senior divisional officer of Meme Division, handed them to the divisional delegate of secondary education, who was given firm instruction to follow up and see how these students are being punished by their different institutions in Meme Division.
Coronavirus figures are on the rise in the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. Frederic Takang now files in updates from Bamenda.
In a press release early this week, the Northwest Delegate for Public Health says over 476 COVID cases were recorded the previous week, with 108 recoveries and 8 deaths in the region. Dr. Kingsley Cheso added that a total of 919 infected cases are presently on treatment in the Northwest region, with Batibot and Oku Health District corona-free in the week. Going by this release, the number of new COVID-19 cases and associated death has been increasing since the beginning of 2021. Record of February ending reveals a total of 2,136 COVID infection, 1,120 recoveries, and a total of 98 deaths in the region, with a 4.5 ratio dying after contracting the virus. According to the health personnel in the region, continuous sensitization of the population on the need to respect all COVID-19 barrier measures is primary. Dr. Kingsley Che called on school authority, regional and divisional public services, the clergy, municipal authority, media practitioners, and the entire Northwest population to mobilize, sensitize, and promote the implementation of government anti-COVID measures as a way of combating the new wave of the virus. He reiterated on the systematic wearing of face masks, hand washing with soap and running water, observing at least 1.5 meter social distancing, and early COVID-19 testing and treatment so as to break its transmission chain. He also called on inhabitants with the following symptoms: loss of smells, loss of taste, cough, running, nose, fever, to go for testing immediately you notice any of them. The regional delegate also frowns at misinformation on social media and calls on all not to pay attention to such.
Ahead of the International Women's Day celebration, in this edition of the news, we make a zoom in on women in the entrepreneurial world. We take a look at their challenges. The challenges are many that the women are facing as they engage in different entrepreneurial activities, and specifically those producing or involved in homemade production. And we're talking to some of them at the GCAM head office, at the head office of the Cameroon Employers Union today, as they converse to showcase their know-how under the auspices of the entrepreneurial female entrepreneurial committee of GCAM. And this is what they told our reporters in this report. Immaculate Fogwe has more. Immaculate Foge with that report. Now, we'll be coming back to that in a short while. The Canadian High Commissioner to Cameroon, Richard Bally, urges physically challenged women to the country to believe in themselves. Physically challenged women in the country to believe in themselves rather than losing hope. And he was speaking during his visit in the west region of the country, where he discussed with members of the Association of the Blind or persons living with visual disabilities and physically challenged persons. Details in this report by Immaculate Fogwe.
Nicole was not born with just one hand, but circumstances of life made her lose it. She had her right hand amputated 2 years ago. Instead of giving up on life, she rather saw several reasons that motivated her to further her tailoring skills. I and my sister got attacked by a thief on our way back home. The thief tried hitting my head with a machete. In defense, I raised my hand and it was cut off by the machete. Her passion for tailoring made her join the Association of the Blind and Physically Challenged, SONAFAC. While here, she and 50 other women coming from Douala, Yaoundé and Bafang were drilled on income-generating activities, with the project being financed by the Canadian High Commission. Many of these women went through traumatic scenes due to their disability. Some were even stigmatized, but this association made them understand that where there is a will, there will definitely be a way. It is a privilege that this project is accompanied by the Canadian High Commission. Richard Bally, Canadian High Commissioner, was impressed with the efforts made by the women. He equally made them understand that disability is not inability.
The Cameroon Employers Union is striving to project women who are adding value to homemade products to higher heights. This is why the organization brought them together here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, today, in order to enable them to showcase their talents, their abilities, and their potentials. And some of the women spoke to us, telling us what exactly they are doing and the challenges that they are facing. Immaculate Fogwe.
A significant proportion of Cameroonians still prefer foreign goods to homemade products. Price and accessibility are the main drivers for the majority of Cameroonian consumers, though a small segment of wealthier consumers also consider brand recognition and quality. However, products made in Cameroon are fast becoming popular, especially in the agro, food, clothing and shoe sectors. The Female Entrepreneur Commission of Cameroon's Employers Union, GCAM, is striving to project female homemade entrepreneurs to higher heights ahead of the International Women's Day.
I put in juice, natural juice, pure natural juice with mango, passion fruit, ginger, cassis mango, pineapple, and many other. Naturally, no addiction, no sugar, no colorant, no anything.
I like to see people look good. I love leather, and realizing that there were not so many shoemakers at the time I was starting, it encouraged me to get into it. Also to put Cameroon on the map and to encourage people to consume local made, as well as to break those stereotypes that local made is of inferior quality.
They are braving several challenges in their activities.
I have equipment deficiency.
It's not easy, from the crisis to capital to perception that local made. We had a lot of challenges pushing the perception back that local made is of inferior quality.
They are expecting a wide range of solutions to their plights from government and other stakeholders.
I need more equipment and digital machine that can help me to produce more.
In our sector, if tanneries can be made available, it's going to help a lot because it's going to reduce our cost of production, and that way we can be able to produce footwear that almost everybody can afford, and with it still being beautiful and comfortable.
The women of GCAM are brainstorming on how to better develop and enhance the representation of women who are adding value to made in Cameroon products.
And that's it for the first part of this newscast. Talking Point is up next. Thank you for joining us in this edition of Talking Point. She is involved in the promotion of homemade products, and she is particularly producing something quite interesting. I'm sure you're going to like it. We'll talk about it. Kate Lekane, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
You're an entrepreneur, and today you were showcasing your know-how at the GCAM, at the head office of the Cameroon Employers Union, and I discovered that you're producing something quite specific, something quite interesting, which is not very common. I'm talking about biscuit from corn, and what is locally known as egusi.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Okay, thank you very much. I grew up I was born in Bamenda. And in Bamenda, my neighborhood and my family, we used to go to the farm. So I grew up in a farm. So I've been eating corn, egusi, all along. So I came here because I'm an educator. So it was like I changed, my health situation changed. So because here in Douala, I used to eat just flour, everything flour. So I had a problem with my health, and then the doctor asked me to stop consuming flour, white flour. So I asked myself, what will I do? I'm having a passion of pastry. So I used to have my own personal farm at West Province, because I come from the West Province. So that's where I asked myself, wheat flour, it comes from a grain. So if we can take a grain, wheat grain, and transform it to flour, why can't I use corn to produce flour? And if I have flour, it means I can do something with it. So that's how I started doing my research. I tried once, second time, and third time. It was good. I invited friends in the house. They came, they tested it, and it was good. So one of them told me, you can make it a business. You can create wealth.
Now,
so,
to be a little more specific, how did you start? Like, you took a grain of corn, you took what quantity, and then how did you do the mixture? The measurement and everything and so on. Did you study that before?
No. I just used the same methods I used to do with wheat flour. It was just the same thing. Just that this now I don't use flour, but I use cassava. When you do a fufu, it will drag like a glue, because what is inside the wheat flour is that glue that is interesting. What we call gluten. So the gluten
it keeps the paste together.
The paste together, voila. So they used to tell us that it's only with flour that we can do pastry, while it's not true. The reason is we consumers, we love things that are big, fat. That's why the gluten is in the wheat. But with our own local flour, we don't need it, because it's not tolerant to some people, like autist children and diabetic patients. The doctors, they will refuse them to consume gluten and all the rest. So you can take the corn and the cassava and you get a good flour for pastry. So there are some mixtures that you will do to do bread, biscuits, and all whatnot, even pancakes.
All right, you started with corn.
I started with corn.
And then
I went with cassava, then egusi, then plantain flour.
All right, you were harvesting from the farm, buying from the market, or where were you
with the corn,
getting the corn, the raw material to be able to start?
The corn, it comes from my own farm. But the egusi, I buy it in the market. The plantain also, I'll buy it in the market. And the cassava too.
When you started, you were producing what quantity?
I started with, let me say, 30 kilo of corn. Because that is what I got from, it was a part of my harvest that I used to start my research.
All right, and
my production.
how did you start producing the biscuit? Because you know, when we look at what is happening in the bakeries and other places, there are machines that are used. There are specific machines that are used to be able to mix, to get the mixture right, and then produce the shape and so on and so forth. How did you start?
The good news is that in our kitchen we have almost everything to become an entrepreneur. You have your oven, you have your hand mixer. That is what I use till now that I'm talking to you. I use my own kitchen machine to produce the biscuit you just saw at GCAM.
That's quite interesting there.
Yeah.
There is everything in the kitchen to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Even to do your flour, you have everything in the kitchen.
Right, so the women listening to you today, they can become an entrepreneur by starting from the kitchen.
Start from your kitchen. I bet you'll be surprised.
You don't need millions.
You don't need millions.
You start from the kitchen.
Start from the kitchen.
All right, so tell us how you progress from the kitchen to something bigger, and today you're, I believe you're supplying biscuit around, not only in Douala, maybe elsewhere around the country.
Yeah, I have great demands, but it's not easy because it's, the production is not that quite big. Just that I decided to start small, but to behave big, to do big, to dream big. So today I have many demands, and the machines I'm using is not really adequate. I still use my hands, I still use my hand machine, I still use my oven, but I succeeded in buying another oven. That's where my capacity started adding bit by bit, and I'm able today to supply to the made in Cameroon shops that you have in Douala and to some distributors out of the country.
Are you working all alone?
I'm with my husband and with two students who works part-time.
Yes,
and I have 10 ambassadors, independent ambassadors, who will talk about it on the internet, Facebook, and
yesterday I was on this set with the gender activists, and we're talking about husbands supporting their wives. That's quite interesting there. Kudos to your husband. Right, now talking about the production, what quantity are you producing now with the limited means that you have?
Today I'm able, because I do, you saw my cans. Unfortunately I don't have a specimen here. I can produce what you saw. I can produce like 1,000 pieces in 1 week. 1,000.
And you give it out?
I give it out. As I produce, it goes. As I produce, it goes.
Now, the cost of production. You're using some equipments that are not very appropriate as of now. Yeah. And you're looking forward to getting something more appropriate for the production of the biscuit, probably in greater quantity.
Yeah.
As of now, your cost of production and what you get in return, is there some sort of a balance? Are you pulling out of that activity some profit?
For now, I can say it's really, I don't gain a lot of profit. For now, I really want to show, my objective for now is really to show the youth that you can start from nothing and become something.
You can start from nothing and become something. You know, that's something that is very easy to say, but now it becomes very difficult when it comes to practicals, and some of us young people are just seeing this thing as, you know, something that is abstract, starting from nothing to something. They'll be asking you, but how? How can you start from nothing?
I told you, you have everything in your kitchen. All you use in your kitchen can be the beginning. Don't wait until you have billions before you start. I bet you that if they give you billions, you do nothing with it because you don't know the process. Start by knowing the process. Wherever you have investors that will come in, you'll be an expert.
You can start producing 5, 10
You can start producing even your flour.
To even the house,
your neighborhood,
supplying to the neighbors.
Yeah.
And then from there,
that's where I am. I'm not. It's not as if I'm already a tycoon in what I'm doing. No, I'm still in the beginning. I'm still learning. My formula are not set yet. I'm still searching.
What are the challenges that you're facing at this stage, apart from the fact that you don't have the needed equipments, the appropriate equipments?
Okay, the challenges from now is on the marketing. It's not easy because customers are complaining on the prices because they are comparing with what we have in the market. So they will take like what we produce and they will compare with what comes from outside, because they believe that what is outside is best than what we are doing locally. And a local made product is done with passion. Time, you cannot give a price to your time. You cannot give a price to the time you put in a product. So it's very different. And what we produce, it's good for the organism. What this comes from outside, what we sell in great industrial quantity is for the mouth. It's just good in the mouth, but it's not good in the stomach. But what we produce is good in the mouth and in the stomach. You
make sure that the content is good, and will not be toxic to those
because we work with experts. I succeeded today to have the label OCC Origin Cameroun certifié and halal. So when your product is halal, all Muslim can eat. You know, Muslim, they don't eat, they don't just consume any kind of product.
Right. So how are you braving those challenges? What about finances? What about the money that you need to carry on with the production?
For now, the funds is still really private. It comes from the pocket. We have no financial means. It's not really easy because even those new made in Cameroon shops, they will take the product, they will not pay cash. It's depot vent. When you produce, you keep in the shop. It's after 1-2 months that they'll pay you. It's not really easy, but you don't want to give up. It's not easy.
And that's slowing down
it's slowing down the whole process.
Right. Now, talking about the demand, you said that as soon as you produce, you have to drop it in the made in Cameroon shops, and sometimes it will stay there for a month or so. Is there a problem with the number of people who are coming to buy? Why does it have to stay for 1 or 2 months when the quantity is not as important?
The problem is that it's not the product that is not selling, but the problem is the management. Sometimes you go to the shop, the products are finished, but they will not pay you. They will insist that they will pay you at the end of the month. Sometimes you will have to produce again, or they will call you that you have to deliver another product, or you have to put another product in the shop while the other product are finished, but they will not pay you. I don't know how I'll explain. The process is so complicated. I don't know. It's very difficult. That's why we are obliged to produce and sell ourselves through Facebook, WhatsApp, and others.
Some of the women who spoke to us today said that there is still this issue of inferiority kind of mindset, which prevents many people, many Cameroonians, from purchasing, consuming, and using homemade products. They are still focused, having their minds on made in Italy, made in France, made in the United States, and so on. And then when they see made in Cameroon, it's like there's a question mark on that.
What I would tell my fellow Cameroonians is that you have to bear with us. That is not easy. I will not say we are experts. We are still in the beginning, but I bet you that what was done years back is not more the same thing today. People are coming with great minds and great way of doing things. If you see the packaging that we used to do 4, 5, 10 years back, it's not the same today. At least today, things are changing. So you just have to have faith in what we are doing. With time, even the one they are consuming abroad, it's not as if they got up like that and then things were just excellent. Just bear with us. We are all beginning, but in 2, 3, 4 years time, you will see that things will change. And with the coronavirus, all of us we are seeing that almost all products done by Cameroonian are medicine. Our food is medicine because almost all our food they are gluten free,
local raw material.
Right
now, talking about this issue of mindset. From what you're saying, we can deduce that there is need for a shift of mindset from America, from France, from Italy, from Japan, from Germany. We need to shift our minds from there back to Cameroon.
You have to shift your mind back to Cameroon. Very important.
Now, talking about the promotion of what you're doing, are you receiving support from any governmental organization, any state organization to boost what you're doing?
For now, financially, no, but I'm a member of many NGO like AWEB Cameroon, Asenya. Is a groupment of many entrepreneurs where we exchange our different experiences, and then we try to give ourselves some hand helps, ideas, partnership, so that we can grow together while waiting for maybe the government can do something for us.
What should government do for you people?
What
can government do to promote homemade production and consumption?
The first thing we are asking the government to do for us is to consume our product. In your different seminars, let them at least, even only 50% of what they eat should come from the local made product. Only those contracts will be enough for us to grow.
Right. Away from that, or apart from that,
we are asking
at the level of policy, for example.
Yeah, even at the level of administration, they should personalize the way they are asking the small, because we are really still small, the way the administration should behave with the PME, big enterprise. It should not be the same like at handicraft, because I can say we are still handicraft. It should not be the same.
Okay, in terms of tax collection, for example, all of that.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Maybe there should be something like tax exoneration.
Something like that. At least for 1 to 3 years to get the hand before starting, because it's very good to pay tax. But now, if you don't have financial accompaniment set up for us, it will not be easy.
Right, Kate Likane, the brain behind Kali Biscuits.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Happy Women's Day in advance.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Equinoxe is up next, live from Yaoundé with Serge Alonto.